To be able to share music and connect with people like that, like even after I play, I love chatting to people that have come to see me and just connecting with people outside of the shows as well, like even might be on like social media as well. Like I really like connecting with people that support me and that follow me. So yeah, it's such a nice feeling.
Welcome to Elevated Frequencies, the podcast that gives you access to the next level of house and techno so you can explore an elevated lifestyle. I have to be honest, I was starry-eyed after my conversation with Maxinne, and not just because I love her music so much, but because she is one of the kindest people I've ever spoken to. You meet a lot of people in life who are nice, but they're not necessarily kind. Well, Maxinne is kind, nice, and then some. And that is going to be very evident when you watch and listen to this interview. She is such a sweet person. She has built community all over the world from her travels with music. But I truly believe it's her personality that bring people back to her shows to see her over and over again. She has such amazing energy, and I feel so privileged. She shared some of that energy and time with me. And I'm so excited for you to hear this interview. Well, Maxinne, thank you so much for joining me. It's so nice to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to meet you, finally.
Yeah. So tell me, whereabouts are you calling from today?
So I'm based in Southampton in the UK. So I'm just here while I'm not gigging. So this is where I live.
Well, it seems like you do a lot of traveling. I was looking at your Instagram the other day and it's like every post, different city, different country. So you're home for right now.
Yeah, so I have been travelling quite a lot, but I've had the last few weeks off, which has kind of been quite nice. I've just been getting my head stuck in the studio and just finishing off projects, because when you're on the road, you kind of I like making stuff on my travels. So, you know, on the flights, on the trains and stuff. So it's nice when you come home, you can really get stuck into just finishing those ideas off and getting them all mixed down, ready to send off to the labels and test out. So yeah, it's been nice, but I'll be back on the road next weekend.
Okay. So do you find that you tend to pull inspiration better when you're traveling, or is it something where you have to kind of be at home, like you said, to like hone that in?
Yeah. Do you know what? I feel like I get inspiration from so many different places. It can be like when I'm out, sometimes just being out, you know, for the gigs and the clubs, I get loads of inspiration just hearing the music. Or you might be listening to one of your favourite DJs playing, you can come back and be really inspired by that. But then also you can be inspired by being at home and listening to like old records, or just going through like acapellas, listening to samples. So there's so many ways of getting the inspiration. Like sometimes you could be just out in town and you might hear a little song playing in a shop and that just sparks an idea like, oh, actually, that would be a cool little melody to use. And then, you can just build ideas from there. So it's always different, really. I wouldn't say there's, I feel like for me, there's not like a set way. There's not a set thing that inspires the ideas. It can be so many different things.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool that when you do so much travel, you get such a diversity of people, food, environments. So it's got to just be really enriching for when you are in that creative mode, because it's like you've just seen so many different things, interacted with so many different people. That's got to be helpful, right?
Definitely. That's one thing I absolutely love about this job, is just seeing all the different cultures. Like recently I've just been to Singapore, and it was my first time in Singapore, and it was amazing. Like the culture there, the people, the energy, and it was kind of like a different crowd as well to play to. I've never played out there before, and they're really into house music, which was amazing. And I just love meeting new people, like you said, like meeting different people, all different cultures, different backgrounds, and America as well. I've been playing quite a lot in America, and it's such a big place, America, compared to the UK. So like each different country just has its own unique thing, and everyone's different. And I love just meeting different people and getting to explore different parts of the scene.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Every state is so different. You don't realize, I mean, so I have family in Italy and Sicily, and I always get jealous when they say they take a train, to another country for the day. But then I realize like, okay, wait, all of our states are so different, like, and it takes a while to get from, like we don't have the same luxury of travel that they do in Europe, but everywhere is so different. Like I can imagine probably playing in Brooklyn is different than, playing in, I don't know what, Texas. Have you ever played in Texas?
Yeah.
You have?
It totally. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm in Chicago, and you have a lot of,
okay,
yeah,
amazing.
you have a lot of fans here. I know that for sure. And
I literally love Chicago. It's one of my favorite places to play. I think I've
it?
played there since I got my US visa after COVID. I've played there quite a few times now, and I just
Spy
love.
Bar, right?
That's right. Spy Bar, Concord.
Yep.
I played at Spy Bar a few times, and then we had. Yeah, I think there was one more show as well, but it should because house music began in Chicago as well, and the roots come from there, and you can really feel that with the crowd because they really know their music. They really connect to it. So yeah, I love Chicago. I love it there.
Yeah.
But like you said, Chicago, LA might be very different to playing in like Miami or Brooklyn. So it's just really interesting to see all the different parts of the world and see how people react to the music. But it's so good because music just brings everyone together, and I feel like that's one thing that kind of unifies all of us.
Absolutely. The community aspect is unmatched. I think, every genre of music has something special, but house music, that community is what I think keeps people coming back. These clubs, they're safe spaces to be able to express yourself, to let loose. So many people have like regular jobs where it's like, they're in their corporate attire from 9 to 5 and they wait, like spending time seeing people like you play is like the highlight of their month. And that's got to feel pretty special.
Yeah, no, to be able to share music and connect with people like that. Like even after I play, I love chatting to people that have come to see me and just connecting with people outside of the shows as well. Like even might be on like social media as well. Like I really like connecting with people that support me and that follow me. So yeah, it's such a nice feeling.
I do see that on your social media a lot. You're very like you interact with the fans, and it genuinely looks like you recognize people. Like, oh, I know who you are. I've talked to you, and I think that's something really special. That again, like other maybe top 40 music, whatever, they don't have that luxury. Like you're most likely never going to meet like a pop star. But with house music, we're all like intertwined with each other, and the fact that you take the time to do that, because playing a set is a physical workout. Like it's not, you're in it, you're dancing, you're having fun. And then the fact that you take the time to talk to your fans after, that's really special.
Yeah. And I just love like when you go to a show, if you see people from like the last show, if they've come to your next one, like I recently played in Brooklyn and there was people there from my last show in Brooklyn, and yeah, after a few shows, you get to recognize people, and some people become your friends. That's what I love about how music can just bring people together. And even like my partner, I met him through like being in the music industry, and awesome. Like 7 years later, we're still together. And I like because of music, that's what brings people together. So I think it's just such a special thing.
Yeah. So I have a question about that. I have a couple of friends who have partners who are not into house music, and I feel like it's hard for them.
Are they DJs or are they?
Some are DJs.
Yeah.
Some are DJs. Some are just, fanatics. Yeah. And I feel like it's tough because there's day parties in the summer, right? But like There's late nights
Mm-hmm.
involved with this. My brother's a
Mm-hmm.
DJ. He's only ever dated women who are also DJs because he's like, I just
Yeah,
need that level of understanding.
they've got that like thing in common kind of thing. Yeah.
Hmm. And you just understand if you have to be in your, in your studio, locked away, getting a project done. Do
Yeah.
you think that, I mean, I don't want to say it's impossible to not be with someone who's not in the scene, but do you think that that really helps?
I think like I feel like the main thing is if you have the support and the sort of respect and trust for one another, because in a nightclub, obviously you're surrounded by lots of people you have never met. There's guys, things like that. So you've got to have that trust and also support. Like if you've got a supportive partner and you're, both supportive in each of your careers, then I think that really helps. But yeah, I've met people where they're into completely opposite things. Like one will be a DJ, one will have a partner who's not really into the music so much. But there might be a common thing that they both have in common that brings them together. It's hard to say, isn't it? Because everyone's so different. But I think I can imagine it is challenging at the same time if you're completely different and you're not, one might be out spending late nights, things like that, and the other one, if they're not into going out, then it could be a challenge. But yeah, I think it all just comes down to the person.
What I think and what is true to me, I mean, myself and my husband, we go for the music. We don't go for like the club, the other parts, right?
Yeah, you're like more passionate about like the music
and
side. Yeah.
I think that's most fans. I mean, if you strip away the bottle service, the BS, most of us are there just for the music, right? Like you're intentionally going to see a specific artist. You're there for the community. And so that's hard to explain, I think, to people who just go to like regular clubs. You know what I mean? Where it's just open or top 40, whatever. And so I really do think that's like a special thing that when you have that connection with somebody, whether it's a partner or friends, it just knits that bond even closer. Yeah,
definitely. And especially like having a career in the industry, I think it's good to have like a support network in general. Whether that's your partner or your friends or your family, like just having people that, it's like having your tribe, isn't it? And the people around you who, understand what you're doing and just support you in general. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's something that's on my mind a lot, especially lately. And I want to hear, well, let me take a step back. How old are you? Do you mind me asking?
I'm 32.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
So,
you too? Okay.
Yeah. So as, it's different, obviously, working in the scene. I mean, this is your job. But as I go through life, I think friend groups change, right? As you get older and your priorities shift. And I've been on this quest to like balance being able to enjoy this part of my life. It's something I'll never let go. And of course, for you, this is literally your career. But then also thrive in other areas, right? Like my business, being healthy, just finding the balance. And you talked about support network. I want to know how it is for you building a support network of people that kind of support like all your life's goals, right? Like, and people who understand that for you, this isn't just like a party life. This is literally your career, your bread and butter. So how have you kind of shaped that as your career has evolved?
Yeah, I mean, my circle's pretty small. I'd say like I know a lot of people and I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends that I hang out with, but my close knit circle is pretty small. And I've kind of always liked that, because it's just kind of flows organically kind of thing. So yeah, my partner, he's like super supportive. He's kind of been with me on my journey since the beginning as well, since when I like about 8 years ago when I started getting into DJing. I was living in London, And yeah, when I moved to London, I wasn't really like the scene from where I grew up. It was there wasn't a lot of house music. Like I wasn't going out to a lot of house music events. So when I moved to London, that really helped me to kind of expose myself to like more of the industry, more nightclubs, more DJs, and just meeting more people in the scene. And then through that's when I really started to learn and pick up things like production, and things kind of built from there. So my network built like that, and I built like a crew in London that we all really, really supported each other. But yeah, because I've like moved since then. I've like lived in Ibiza, and then I've moved. Now I live in Southampton. Yeah, it's just kind of knowing, along your journey, you get to meet people who are sort of, you just gel really well with. But because my partner, he's sort of been with me since the beginning when I moved to London, he knows, like, he's just been with me for everything. So he's like my biggest supporter. And yeah, it's just, I'd say he's like the one that, yeah, it's just always supporting me if there's anything, like even with production, like he's got a really good ear for music. So like I'll finish tracks and he loves listening to them, and he'll give me some feedback and critical feedback. I love hearing that as well. Like change this, change that, do that. Always open to ideas. So yeah, I just think, I suppose along the journey, you just get to know who your people are really. But yeah, in general, there's lots of people around that are supportive, and it goes hand in hand. Supporting each other and getting the support back is really important.
That's really, I love to hear that about your partner. I think a lot of people are jaded nowadays about having a partner or being in relationships, and sometimes I feel like I hack some sort of cheat code finding someone, and it sounds like the same for you. Like you have this amazing person who is literally your home, and you can trust him with everything from music to whatever it is that you're dealing with. And that's just like, I don't know, it's rare. It's really rare to have something like that, and that's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you have that as well. I think like when you find that, it is something really special. But yeah, I'm just super happy. Like he's very focused on like his work and stuff, and I'm focused on my projects, and we just both really are supportive towards each other.
That's awesome. Does he travel with you most of the time?
He does, not all the time, but he will come as much as he can. He, if like I'm doing like a US weekend and it's sort of in and out, like a short weekend, he doesn't always come to them ones because it's quite a long flight. It's like the 9-10 hours flight. But if I'm going to be in that country for a little bit longer, say, 5 days or something, it'll be more worthwhile him coming. So, he recently came. Where did he last come with me? He's been to like New York with me, Dubai. Yeah, that was the last one, I think, Dubai. He came along to that one, which was really nice because we were there for like 4 days. So yeah, we got to just explore a bit around the gig and get to see it a bit more. So yeah, he loves it though. He loves the music scene. Like he used to work in the music industry as well. So like it just brought us together, and he's got a real passion for music, so he loves coming to my gigs. But yeah, he doesn't always come to all of them now, but yeah
it's those quick like flights back and forth, that's got to be tough, and with him having his own job. So that actually leads me to my next question, something I always like to ask people who travel a lot, because I've just recently started traveling more and I'm not good at it. And you have to be good at it when you have your type of job. So how do you, and I think I don't want to like gender this, but as women, I think we have a lot more that goes into like, I don't know, we're more tend to have better routines and whatever. So like, how do you get into routine, whether it's like sleep, winding down for bed? What do you bring when you're traveling all the time? Because like I'm on a quest to figure out how to make that work. And you're probably an expert at this point. So
what do you struggle with when you're traveling? Like what sort of things?
I can't.
Is it the sleep, like the jet lag, or
sleep? not knowing the right amount of stuff to bring. It's either always too much or too little.
Yeah.
And being like, I'm very like much a homebody and in my routine. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you really just good with like being on the fly?
So I'm quite organised. Like I like I do like having that organisation. But so for example, like if I go on like a longer tour, like for example, I went on like a 3-week tour once. I didn't pack a checked bag because I was going to because I was going to be going in and out. I think it was maybe 8 different places I was going to. I just thought having to check the bag, collect it at each place was going to cause more headaches. So I just made so I've got the hand luggage bag, this little, the little suitcase, and then I brought a big like handbag with me, and that I just made sure I had enough stuff in there. So I feel like that really helped with just reducing like time at the airports and things like that.
You always have different outfits though in your Instagram pictures. So do you buy? Yeah, do you buy stuff?
I feel like I wear the same thing.
No, I swear. Yeah. I swear you have like different. So do you ever buy stuff when you're in the countries, or do you just like what I'm bringing is what I'm bringing?
Yeah, I'll buy. Sometimes I'll pick up a few little bits if I've got time. I'll go exploring and have a look at the shops. But yeah, I wouldn't go too crazy. Like sometimes in America, there's like amazing trainers and stuff. But yeah, I tend to just if there's a few like little t-shirts or little bits I can pack in. But in general, I feel like I'd say the hardest bit of the traveling is probably the jet lag with America. But I'll take the the melatonin gummies. Yeah. I just have like one of them on the flight home, and then I'll just like conk out, and then by the time I've landed in the UK, I've had like a good sleep. But it's definitely challenging, and most people I speak to say like it's challenging. You might have had no sleep, and then you've got to get on the flight to go to the next gig the following day. But yeah, I think just the music in general just keeps you buzzing, and the whole experience of like traveling and seeing different countries, I feel like that excitement of it all just keeps you really awake and excited and keeps the momentum going. And obviously the shows, as soon as you get to the show, the energy you get like from playing out and the energy from the crowd, that instantly wipes away any tiredness that you could have. I feel but yeah, no, I'd say like I feel like the more I've done it, not easier, because there's always little hiccups along the way, but the more you have this sort of set routine, like have I checked that I've got my passport, have I checked that I've got all my USBs, you kind of get into this habit of before I leave, I'm going to make sure I've done this and this. But like the first time, like years ago, when I started traveling outside of the UK for gigs, it's always a little bit like, you feel, especially if you're on your own. But I feel like it's like anything, the more you do something, the better you kind of get at it.
Yeah. And you made a great point. I mean, you are living this, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you have this amazing life where you're experiencing so many amazing things. You're just in the moment. And to be able to just do all this, these cool different things for your career. It's not like you're traveling for boring reasons. Like you're there, and it sounds like you're seizing the moment. I'm in Dubai for 4 days. Let's have the best time ever. Whatever happens. If there's hiccups, like you're just living it. And I think too, I hate talking about COVID, but like, especially after COVID, that's so important to just, make the most of everything.
Yeah, 100%. I think, having music, having the music taken me to these different places is just something that I'm just so grateful for. So when I do go away, I'm just always like really buzzing and really excited. And like some people say, how do you, travel on your own? Because I travel quite a bit on my own. like to America and that recently. And I honestly I love just traveling around. Like I have my laptop with me. If I'm on the flight, like I can get on with, doing work on the plane, like production or whatever it is, sorting out like playlists for my gigs. So, and also I feel like with social media now, I always feel connected to people. Like, through social media and Instagram, like you might get interactions from your followers about certain gigs and things like that. And you just always feel connected, I feel like now. Whereas if we didn't have our phone, I'd definitely be, feel a bit more isolated. But yeah, it's fine. And just embrace it and enjoy it.
And I want to talk about your music in a second, but to wrap up this point about travel, I have to mention this, and I want to know if you've had any surprises at different airports, but I just went to London for the first time in February and flew into Italy first to stay with my family. And then we did London, and I never thought I'd have a chance to go to Printworks because of it closing, but we did. And so we went on the last day before our flight. So we went on a Friday, and our flight was at noon on Saturday, and we didn't fly into Heathrow. We flew into there's another airport, right?
Was it Gatwick Airport?
I think so.
It might have been or there's Stansted,
that one,
Luton, London City Airport.
Yeah. So I didn't know. I was not prepared for how nice Heathrow was going to be. And typically when I travel, I like to look presentable, comfortable, but presentable because it's just, there's all different kinds of people in the airport. Well, let's just say I did not look presentable after being at Printworks.
We've all been there.
Yeah. And basically having to take a Uber directly to the airport. And when we got in there and everybody was so nice and accommodating, which is not typical of airports in the United States, you're generally getting like pushed around by TSA and like, you don't even know, like, your head's spinning by the time you actually get to the gate. I kind of had to like take several breaths and realize that I was in a really fancy, nice place, especially with all the shopping and stuff. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, next time I come back here, like, I feel like they put me on CCTV, like, cause I just looked insane. Like I looked like a gremlin. So
you went to Printworks and then did you not have much sleep as well?
No.
Was it just like straight through?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that.
Which was good to sleep on the plane. But so point of the story is it surprised me how beautiful the airport was. And I'm wondering if you've had any experiences in the US, good or bad, where the travel's just like you got to an airport, you're like, where the hell am I?
I feel like there's not one that sticks out like that's been really bad. I'd say there's been like huge queues, I think, at like New York. New York there's always queues there, in Miami. But I've done them ones where I've gone to a gig and then gone back to the hotel. I've had like 1 hour sleep and then I've had to get up to go straight to the airport. Yeah. And you're just at the airport, like, so you just feel like a zombie. And if I'm traveling on my own, I'm like, oh, am I going to like fall asleep? If you're in the gate and then you're just like slowly drifting off and I'm like, oh, am I going to fall asleep and miss my flight? So it's always that. But then, I'm just trying to remember, like, there's so many different airports that I've been to. I went to Singapore recently. That airport was insane. I know it's not the US, but like, it's got like this waterfall. It's full of like trees everywhere. Wow. It's amazing. It's like a whole, you could have like several hours just enjoying yourself at the airport. There's loads of things to do there.
That's so cool. And it's funny because like, I feel like when I'm at the airport after a long weekend, I'm like, wow, nobody knows what I just did. Like everybody's living their own lives and
no one notices. Yeah. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Right. I remind myself, I'm like, you're not that important. Like nobody's looking at you crazy. Like,
but people are probably also doing the same is what it is as well.
True.
True. That's really cool.
I mean, you've had such an incredible career so far, and you're so young. And I'm so excited for you to go to even more places. I mean, it sounds like you've checked off some really cool, countries off the list. So I want to talk about your music. I know you have an EP that just came out, and it seems like you're constantly producing. Is that, for everyone, it's a little bit different, the balance between DJing and producing, but you just have such an incredible body of music. How are you able to balance gigging and then also being able to just come up with brand new stuff all the time?
Yeah. I feel like, even like after some gigs, there might be times where I am more tired, like if I've come back, but I'll always find a little bit of time every day, or some days I don't, but there'll always be some time in the day where I'm like creating something or working on an old idea. Like I have so many ideas on my computer that I have never put out. There's always ideas on the go. But yeah, I'd just say I love production, so it's just something that I always spend a bit of time on. Like if I'm on the road, I love like producing. If I'm in a hotel, just sort of killing a bit of time, or on the plane, I'll always be working on something. So yeah, I think it's just the amount of time I put into it kind of leads to the releases and things like that. And I think over the years I've just always been quite dedicated to production because I just really enjoy it. So yeah, I just love being able to like create something from a thought, or like something in your head. Or you might hear, like, some people ask me how I start my tracks, and it's kind of always different every time. Like it might be like a vocal or a sample, or just anything, like the drums. It always changes, but I think I don't know. I just feel like I'm always getting inspiration from a lot of different places. So that always leads to me laying down the ideas and creating stuff.
And I think I read somewhere you listened to like hip hop and R&B when you were younger, right?
Yeah. Obsessed.
Do you think that, and do you still listen to hip hop and R&B?
Yeah, 100. I go through phases where like I'll listen to like really old playlists from like the 90s. That's the kind of hip hop I love, like the 90s, that kind of era. I just love that kind of genre, and that's definitely inspired my sound. Like I grew up also listening to like garage and R&B, and they've got a lot of like soul in them. So it's kind of like taking the kind of garage that I used to listen to was quite underground, and then if you mix that with like soulful vocals from like hip hop and R&B, it kind of draws. If I draw all those inspirations and put them into my own music, that's kind of how I've created my sound. But it's always evolving as well. So
yeah, there's just something. I mean, we're the same age, so the hip hop from the 90s and R&B, there's just something about it that brings you back. Like I remember listening to it in, the backseat of my parents' car. You know what I mean? Like hearing it on the radio, like it's just a special, and I don't want to sound like a back in my day, like, cause we're not that old, but like that was when there was no cell phones. You had to wait to hear a song on the radio. Like you just didn't have it wasn't on demand. So like hearing your favorite song was like, I don't know if I'm going to hear this for another week. So like I have to savor this moment right now.
Yeah. And I remember like just having like the whole albums and then just rinsing them. Like I'd listen to them from the very start right to the end and just put them back to the beginning and just absolutely just rinsing albums. Like I think now there's a lot of singles. Well, there is still a lot of albums, but it's a lot more digital. I had the sort of physical albums. So yeah, and then when I started driving, I used to just play music in my car all the time, and I just got obsessed. But I never really listened to house music like when I was that age. I was always into hip hop, just because I wasn't really exposed to house music at that time. And then when I started going to like festivals, and then I went to Ibiza, that's when I really heard like house and techno in like big clubs on big sound systems, and it's like a whole new experience.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was, it just grew and grew. My love for house music grew. But yeah, I still listen to hip hop and all the. It's very nostalgic, isn't it? Listening to like 90s hip hop takes you back to like those good memories.
It is. And do you remember the first house song you ever heard?
Oh, that's a good one. First ever house song.
Or like electronic in general.
I mean, I think the first festival I went to was called Lovebox Festival in London. That was, I can't remember exactly who was. I think it might have been maybe like Disclosure were headlining, but there was like also like a drum and bass stage. But the club, I remember, I have a lot of memories at Amnesia in Ibiza. I used to go there a lot when I first started. I still go there a lot now, but when I first started listening to house music, like, I went there a lot, and I can't remember specifically like names of tracks, but sometimes you'll hear it and then you'll be like, I remember that from when we went there.
Yeah, my first exposure to electronic music was hardstyle.
Okay.
I don't listen to hardstyle anymore. I have an appreciation because like my 13-year-old self was like, oh my God, I think it was like that rebellious, like, I'm going to listen to the most aggressive music possible to annoy my parents.
Yeah.
But
is it like hard house style?
I think that's what it's called now. It was show tech. And I think they still play music, I think.
Yeah. Is it quite fast BPM? Like, is it quite fast tempo?
Very, very, very. Yes. And I'll still dabble in that, I'm like, but I like the journey. I like, being able to be taken on a journey. Back then, like I said, I think it was just like 13-year-old rebellion and aggression. Like, let me blast the most loudest thing I can, because I'm mad at my mom or something.
But I think we all go through phases, don't we? Like, of listening to just all different, and I love that though, because you get all different inspirations from all the different styles. I used to listen to like drum and bass. I don't really listen to that now, although I like the genre, but I just don't really listen to it. But there's still inspirations from there that you can draw into your own taste of what you listen to now.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of intermingling of genres now. It's not as like clearly defined as it used to be. And I love that. And I mean, you see these different artists now, like collaborating with other people that you never thought would happen. And it just makes the community stronger, right? And it's
100%. That's what it's about, isn't it? Like, it should be about like sharing that common thing that you're both into, which is the love for the music. And if you can intertwine like two different styles or whatever it is, it's you can create something really cool. And that's how like new genres get created, isn't it? Like by things being mixed together, and then it might create a new sound, and then that might spark something completely fresh.
Yeah. Well, Maxine, it's been such a privilege to talk to you. I'm so grateful for your time.
Thank you so much. It's been so nice to talk to you.
And before we wrap up, just tell me and the audience what you have going on this summer.
So this summer I've got loads of shows, like US shows. I've got some really good, exciting ones in the UK as well. Production-wise, I've just finished up a remix for one of my favourite girl duos, which I'll be announcing soon. So I'm just, finishing that up now. So that remix will come out, I think, end of July, which, isn't too, well, about a month or so away. Because time just flies by, doesn't it? And then, I'm going to be launching my own label as well later on this year, record label, which I'm just sort of working on at the moment behind the scenes. So it's all coming together really well. So I'm excited for that. And then, just a mixture of production and the gigs, and just continuing to do what I do, really.
Staying busy. Well, thank you again for your time. It was so nice to talk to you.
It was really nice to talk to you. Thank you so much.
I really want to highlight the point that she made about seeing people at shows and then recognizing them at later shows, whether it's at the same venue or even in a different city. That is what makes house and techno music so special. It's why we treasure it so much, because how lucky are we that we have these artists who are not only willing to share their musical genius with us, but their time as well. I mean, what other community do you get that level of intimacy from? And it also speaks to the fact that it's so easy to make friends in this scene. I've gone to so many different festivals and shows where I've met people from different states, different countries, and now I have an excuse to go visit these places that I might not have otherwise, because now I have a friend there. And it's the community aspect that is absolutely unmatched. That's why we love this music so much. So if you like this episode, of course, subscribe on YouTube, or you could listen on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, subscribing and following is the best way to support the show. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next Thursday.